A Gantt chart is one of our more technical, formal project planning tools. And in looking at what a Gantt chart is and evaluating it, we're going to first of all talk about what a task list is, which really in my mind is just a slightly less sophisticated version of a Gantt chart. Really, a Gantt chart is a dressed up version of a task list. So let's talk about what that is first of all. As the name very much suggests, a task list is just a list of tasks which you're going to complete in your project. Remember, when we're doing this during the planning phase, we haven't done any actual making of our product yet. We're still just planning out what we need to do. And it's not always just a pure bullet point list. It might also have some time duration, maybe in a table format. So we've got a list of tasks down the left hand side, and we've got some dates and the time duration, so we know how long that task will last. So it's often not an order, or it might be an order. It kind of depends on how much you're going to add to your task list. Okay, so let's just quickly evaluate it, because we need to evaluate all of our planning tools. So what is good about a task list is just really what's good about planning. So we've got all of our tasks complete. We know all the tasks we need to complete, and they're shown in the same place. We've got all of our tasks grouped together, which is useful to know what we need to do. And what is good about a list is we can quite clearly, when we are actually doing our tasks, carrying them out in execution, we can tick off every single task and make sure we've done all that needs to be done, and we're not going to forget any of our tasks because we have a nice list with all of them in. But they're not particularly sophisticated, as I say. They're not visual at all, really just a bunch of text in a table or on a list, and so they're not always easy to use, especially if you're trying to communicate them to your team members. If you wrote the task list, it may not be easy for someone else to understand, especially because we haven't got any concurrency or dependency shown. And also, if you have a big project, this list is going to become so long and maybe not very manageable, and any links like dependency, like concurrency, are going to be very hard to see, if at all. Maybe you don't even know if a task can be done in parallel, especially if you haven't got, say, dates to confirm this. So not great for large projects, not great for, not great as your entire basis of your planning. But if you wanted to use your task list to make a Gantt chart, that might be more suitable. So a Gantt chart, make sure you check the spelling of Gantt. This is it for someone's name, Henry Gantt. So we can, like I say, convert a task list to a Gantt chart. And a Gantt chart is better because it's visual, so we can see things like the duration of tasks, how long a task will be. We can see concurrency if tasks are in parallel, and dependencies to see the order of our tasks. So this is an example Gantt chart from someone else's project. So we've got a task list down the left hand side, and across we have time. So going from left to right, we've got time moving forwards. The unit of time here is days, but could be hours, could be years. Depends how long your project will take, and each task has got some blocks highlighted to show how long it will take. So we can very clearly see the order of our tasks and how long each one will take. You can also see certain tasks being done in parallel and the dependencies, but we'll talk more about this as we show you an example. So I would say there are three main steps to creating a Gantt chart. You don't need to, in this exam, create your own Gantt chart, but it's worth knowing. I think it's worth knowing how they can be built. So let's take each one step by step. Let's say my example here is a stupid one. Let's say my task list is all about creating a coffee. So my coffee in the morning, I'm going to first of all wash up a mug, make sure I've got a mug to use. I'm going to boil the kettle, and then added my instant coffee and the boiling water to this, so I get a nice cup of black coffee. So first of all, my first step is assigning every task in my list. So here I've just got a really basic 3-task list. I'm going to assign a time to each of these. So for example, just don't question my timings here. Let's say I'm going to take a minute to wash up a mug, I'm going to take 2 minutes to boil a kettle, and a minute to add in the hot water and the instant coffee. So I've got some time assigned to my task list. Now I've got this, I can identify dependencies. So really I'm trying to figure out the order of my task here. So what needs to be done first? What needs another task done first? So let's say that maybe I need to first of all wash up a mug. That needs to be done first. And I need to boil the kettle. And certainly I need to boil the kettle and wash up a mug before I add in the coffee and hot water. There's no point adding it in to a dirty mug and there's no point adding in, or I don't have hot water until I've got some boiling water from a kettle. So I need to do the first 2 tasks first, then I can do my adding in the coffee and the hot water. So the adding in the coffee is going to be dependent on my first 2 tasks being done. And so I've labelled the first 2 with 1, both with 1, to show they can be done first, and I've got the second one here. So both the top 2 tasks can be done concurrently, they can be done in parallel, in theory at least. And then I can take this and show it on a grid with each row being a task and each column being a period of time. So it'll look something like this. On the left hand side I've got my list of tasks written out, and then I've got a section here, each one representing a unit of time, in this case minutes, and you can see I've highlighted the box that shows you how long it will take. So I've said it, wash up a mug will take a minute. I've highlighted just 1 minute here. I've said boiling a kettle will take 2 minutes, and you can see I've highlighted 2 boxes here. But importantly, I've said they can both be done concurrently, because I can kind of do both at the same time. I could put the kettle on, leave it for 2 minutes, and in the meanwhile wash up the mug. I can do both concurrently, you can see the overlap here. But then I'm adding in the coffee and hot water, which will take 1 minute, so again 1 box is highlighted, but I've highlighted the box that comes after the first 2. So the third column is highlighted here because I need to do my first 2 tasks beforehand. This third one, or second one I've labelled here, is dependent on me washing up a mug and boiling a kettle, hence why I've left this gap of 2 at the start. That's really important. We're not doing a bar chart here, we're showing the gaps to show the dependencies. Let's now just look at a slightly bigger Gantt chart and talk more about the individual components, because that's more likely to be an exam question. This one is going back to my train Crossrail example. So I've got a task list here. I've now got a column for numbering them, which isn't incredibly important, but you may do that. And I've got, you can see concurrency here and dependency. So first of all, I've got a new thing here, which I need to explain. This diamond can also be a triangle sometimes, is representing what we call a milestone. And often Gantt charts will contain a few milestones highlighted with either a diamond or a triangle. So a milestone is really a key event, and how key it is depends on you. So here my task is building the stations, so multiple stations. I would say the first time you build a station, your first station, it's quite a big deal, right? You've built a station, so you might determine that to be a milestone. You might have someone famous come and open it, you might have the Queen come down, cut a ribbon. That's quite a big event, and so you may highlight it with a milestone marker. This could be anywhere. We could put it, you might have 5 milestones, you might have 50, but probably the less the better, because you want it to be quite an important moment. So that's, you may see that on a Gantt chart from time to time, just being a key event. But other components include the overlap. So here we've got some overlap between our tasks. We can do some in parallel. This is concurrency. So when we have an overlap in the bars, we're doing both at the same time. In this case, we're doing 3 tasks at the same time. And we have a task down here. We have time on this axis, in this case in months. Really good to show what this corresponds to. So it's not minutes or years. We want to know what unit is, and it's not very realistic, by the way. We also have dependencies. So here we can see the 4th step requires the 3 other tasks to be done first. And you can see there's no overlap. And that shows us that our 4th task, teaching the drivers, is dependent on the other tasks being completed first. If we didn't have the gaps between the bars, this would not be shown. So it's really, really important. And the blocks themselves just correspond to how long it will take in total. So here, for example, teaching the drivers is going to take apparently 5 months. It's not taking 8 months. We're just counting how many individual blocks there are. So at the top, this is how long has elapsed since the very start. So it's been 8 months by the point we start teaching the drivers. Okay, let's evaluate Gantt charts, because that again could be an example exam question. So it's very good because it's nice and easy to see concurrency and dependency. So hopefully you can see too on my example here the overlap, which is concurrency, and also separation, which is dependency. It's very obvious to see. It's also obvious how long each task is. So if you have a table with a task list, it might tell you how long it's going to be, but it's nice to visualize it, nice to see the length of the blocks to see how long our task will be. And we can also highlight milestones, which not all planning tools will allow you to do. But what's not good about it is they can be quite time consuming to make, especially if you don't know how to. To be honest, if you know how to use Excel, as in a spreadsheet, it is very quick to do. Also, if you have a fancy project management tool. But if you don't, it might take you a while to do. It also, the whole idea is you're estimating how long it will take. So there's a risk if you use your Gantt chart as gospel, if you think it's going to be totally correct. In reality, it may not necessarily be as reliable as you might think it is during planning. So don't take it too seriously. Don't take it literally. You've got to make sure you understand that things can change in reality.